everyone. Welcome to Jimmy John's Field for Game 2 of opening weekend, the Eastside Diamond Hoppers versus the Westside Woolly Mammoths. Alongside Jason Ross Jr., I'm Jenna Rose here on the USPBL Network. We're presented by our credit union. Jason, it was an exciting game yesterday, a thriller actually, a 5-4 walk-off win for the Utica Unicorns over the Beavers, but the major difference between yesterday and today is the weather. It was a bit chilly back then, beautiful day today for a ball game, but dialing back to that performance, what was working on the field?
Well, gee, the sights, the sounds, the smells of baseball are truly back, and last night was fun. A.J. Coleman, the 6'8 right-hander, got the start for the Beavers. He had an interesting outing, different than Austin Dakar, who got the start for Unicorns in the sense that, for the most part, Coleman was working out of the stretch with runners in scoring position, having to wiggle his way out of situations, which he did very well. Did allow a few runs, not all of which were his fault due to the errors that came from the left side of the infield. But for Coleman, what I found most impressive was his curveball. He was throwing that breaking ball for first pitch strikes, inducing swings and misses, utilizing it to expand the strike zone. Just a really fun guy to watch. He's so poised and calm. Now, again, pitched 3 2/3 of innings that he'll probably critique himself after last night's game for. But on the side of Dakar, such a fun story, having gone through all of the injuries that he went through, 5 different operations, the resiliency of that young man. He's just truly a great human being. And when you look at what he did on the mound last night, 3 innings of very efficient, scoreless work out of Dakar, who came out working quick innings, got first pitch strikes, worked ahead in counts, located his pitches on the outside corner, inside corner, went up and down, inside out, really working all quadrants of the strike zone. So he was truly fun to watch in his own right, and again was very, very efficient, Jen.
Yes, one of my favorite things about this league, Jason, are just the storylines of the players coming in. I mean, Dakar, 5 operations for that point. Foodie, who came in to relieve it, quality inning, and, that was the first time he pitched in a professional game in 6 years. So that's all what we love about USPBL. And, of course, on top of that, we have to go over today's lineups. For the Westside Woolly Mammoths, second baseman Norberto Navarro will lead off. Batting in the second slot will be right fielder Trevor McKinley. Batting third will be first baseman Spencer McGee. Batting fourth will be center fielder Lamar Briggs. Trey Bigford in left field will be batting fifth. Batting sixth will be center field Noah Moore. Batting seventh will be designated hitter Jalen Smith. Batting eighth will be third baseman Antonio Carta. And Adrian Guzman will follow at shortstop. And the starter will be right-handed pitcher Donovan Thacker. Now, Jason, what's going on the east side of things?
Yeah, Jay, on the east side we have Greg Vaughn Jr. starting in left field. And the number 2 spot, Juan Lopez Rio starting at second base. Number 3 will be Jason Aponte starting in center field. Batting cleanup, we have Nick Kreutzer starting at first base, and batting fifth, Christian De Los Santos starting at third base. And into the number 6 spot, Brendan Spalding will start in right field. Into the bottom third of the lineup, in the number 7 spot, we have Felix Abarutze starting at catcher. In number 8, we have Adam De La Cruz at shortstop. And rounding out the lineup in the DH spot will be Nefi Mercedes, and starting at pitcher for Eastside will be the right-hander Ty Tracy. And on the side of the Unicorns, Jen, we have Donovan Thacker getting the start today as well.
Yes, on the side of the Woolly Mammoths. It's day 2 now.
Yes, day 2.
Right. So for the Woolly Mammoths, it'll be right-hander Donovan Thacker, and he's coming off of a performance at Madonna University where typically he mostly utilized his fastball. Typically sits in the upper 80s, low 90s. He could overwhelm some batters with that speed, but they'd kind of catch on. But what is exciting about that fastball, Jason, is it does have plenty of movement. His slider is his typical put-away pitch, and looking at Thacker's arsenal, he is lethal with his sinker-slider combination. The head coach at Madonna University told us heading into the game that during the playoffs, the opposing batters, they were a strong offensive lineup, but what they were able to do was they were able to time the fastball. So after that, he was throwing first pitch strikes with his changeup. So he's able to utilize different pitches in his arsenal. But now going over to the east side, Diamond Hopper side of things, we have right-handed pitcher Ty Tracy.
Yes, Jen. Well, Tracy's another interesting story. Pitched in the California Winter League recently. He has a really nice sinker-slider combo that he'll incorporate. That fastball, it's a 2-seam action on it, can kind of run up in on the hands. That allows for the slider to then expand the strike zone going away. So he's a fun guy to watch as well. Really good mentality. Told me that what he's trying to work on most is throwing consistent strikes and doing that at a rate that will keep him going all season long and working efficient outings as well. So it should be pretty neat today, G. And again, the sights, the sounds, the smells of this game are all back. We're watching the fans pour in. Our own Jeremy Otto had the chance to catch up with Andy Appleby last week on Media Day to get his thoughts on this new season that is so different than 2020 and in a very good way.
You hear about the promo that Jimmy's John's got going on? 5 off 20? How they pulling it off? Magic? You got David's Copperfields in there? Show yourself, Copperfields!
Jimmy John's. $5 off orders of 20 or more.
I'm all in with HR and Organizational Development Council.
I'm all in with Marketing and Business Development Council.
I'm all in with Operations and Member Experience Council.
I'm all in with CEO Council.
I'm all in with Lending Council.
I'm all in with CFO Council.
I'm all in with Technology Council.
Our credit union is all in with CUNA Councils.
2, 1. Welcome back, everyone, to Jimmy John's Field. So great to be here. So great to be in this sun-soaked weather. We hope for opening day it'll be the same, right?
Oh my gosh, yes. It just feels like almost a grand reopening here, Jeremy. And you know, who gets a chance to reopen a ballpark like this twice?
Absolutely. And we look at, you know, the capacity is hopefully increasing maybe as the year goes on.
Yeah, well, we think that most, if not all, the restrictions will be lifted here soon. We hope so. That's not always gospel, but we think so this time. And we're really looking forward to getting back to mostly normal.
Well, you look at, you know, the schedule this year, and, you know, last year was different because there's virtually no promotions, just a few, but it's filled again, right?
It is, yeah. So we brought all the fun back here in 2021. All the fireworks, the live bands every Saturday night, the 250-person dance crew, JJ the Pat Dog, the Magician, the wiffle ball field. We're ready for the fans.
And they're ready to be back, right? I mean, I'm sure you're hearing that from, you know, people who have gone to many games.
Yeah, there's just a huge pent-up demand, not just with families and fun, but people, senior citizens who haven't been out in so long, and companies. You know, we did 1,000 company summer picnics here in 2019. And now with the pandemic, most of these companies haven't seen their employees in a year and a half. Imagine the pent-up demand for that.
Sure. When you look at the field of play last year, I mean, we even attracted some affiliate guys who had nowhere else to go but here because this was kind of the only show in town. But you talk to Justin Orenduff and everybody on the baseball side, too. They're very excited about what's coming up the pipe as well in player personnel.
Yeah, so we're very lucky that with the college senior crop every year, we always have a tremendous amount of great players and no shortage of players that still want to chase the dream and really have a chance to play in a sold-out crowd, hopefully again, sign autographs, hug kids. And as you know, all of our players signed a code of conduct. They're required to do 20 hours of community service. They're tremendous kids character-wise. In fact, we've had about 500 players over the last 5 years, and never have we had even one solitary issue with them with misconduct.
What's one thing that, you know, people are not going to be shocked by it, but, you know, see new this year in the ballpark?
Well, it's funny because they won't necessarily be new to someone that's been to all the games over the years, but it feels new with the fireworks again, with the bands, with the bat dog, with the wiffle ball, with the Magician, all these things that we weren't able to do last year.
Sure.
Even the dance crew, which it pained me so much with all those young kids that love to dance on the field. But those 250 dance crew, that would have zapped all of our 100 people in the audience, so we couldn't do that either. So
Sure.
Everybody's back this year.
Well, thanks for stopping by. Certainly look forward to catching up with you on the USPBL Network as the year goes on as well.
Yeah, thanks so much for everything you do, Jeremy.
Andy Appleby, stick around.
As your neighbor who works at Ascension, Michigan, and a cardiologist who's practiced for more than 20 years, I'm going to keep asking, how are you feeling today? Your care can't wait. Getting care sooner can mean catching things before they get worse. At Ascension, Michigan, our ERs and our hospitals and other sites of care are maintaining strict precautions for your safety. Studies have shown that people will get care sooner if they're encouraged by their doctors, family, and friends. Get the care you need at getascensionmichigancare.com.
Piloting a hot air balloon is my wife's passion, and she couldn't have a better wingman than my Chevy Equinox. Its stylish design rises above the rest, and with its 4G LTE Wi-Fi plus great gas mileage, Equinox keeps us connected mile after mile. With my Equinox, the sky isn't the limit.
Lease a 2021 Equinox LT for just $189 a month. Put it in D and see why Chevy drives the Motor City. Visit ChevyDetroit.com.
Welcome back to Jimmy John's Field alongside Jenna Rose. I'm Jason Ross Jr. We mentioned prior in our show about all the interesting storylines playing into tonight. Madonna University in particular is one of the more notable schools because of the amount of alums that we'll see throughout the season from not only Madonna but multiple schools in the WAC conference of the NAIA. Donovan Thacker will get the start today for the Woolly Mammoths, Jen, and you had the pleasure of catching up with his head coach in his college days, Justin Karn.
Yes, it was so fun catching up with head coach Karn. His son's first birthday is actually today.
Happy birthday.
But along with that, what was really cool was he was able to dive into the chemistry between Thacker and his catcher, Noah Moore, and that's really rare to see coming up at this level in the USPBL, Jason, to have a catcher and pitcher who have been working together for realistically over the span of a couple of years. So especially when we look at Thacker, we know he's using that sinker-slider combination. He has that high velocity in his fastball, so that's going to be very important to have those two there together. And Moore is very strong behind the plate. He's known for his power arm, and he's also known for his power bat at Madonna. His junior year, he was crushing the ball, but towards the end of his senior year, he was trying to change the plane of his swing, trying to have more of a power stance. But really with that, it kind of dropped down on his production offensively. But even towards the end, he was able to pick it up, have 5 home runs. And when we look at where those went, 2 of them went pole side, 1 went straight away center, and the other 2 were the opposite field. So he's able to send the ball virtually anywhere. He has veteran-like plate discipline, so all he has to do is just get in the zone and redefine his swing, get it back to the way it was before, and we're going to see some big things from Moore at the plate and behind the plate while he's catching for Thacker.
Yeah, pumped to watch the Madonna pitcher-catcher duo today. Jenna noted all the adjustments there that were made. It should be an interesting one. Again, we'll be back here on the USPBL Network in the booth here when we come back.
Stop me now. Don't stop me, 'cause I'm having a good time. Having a good time. A shooting star leaping through the sky like a tiger, defying the laws of gravity. I'm a racing car passing by like Lady Godiva. I'm gonna go, go, go. There's no stopping me. No stopping, no stopping.
Throughout your life, from big moments to ones well-earned, we're your financial guardian angel. Alliance Catholic Credit Union.
Your neighbors are going to be jealous when they see you're getting a new Connecticut water system. Say goodbye to hard water problems. No more spots on your glassware. Your laundry will feel and smell better. Your hair and skin will look and feel better. Say goodbye to hard water problems and say hello to great tasting crystal clear water with CGC Water.
HR bringing back the fun this year and bringing back the people next week as well. There's about 1,000 fans in attendance all this weekend, and expect possible capacity crowds as soon as next week. Jeremy Adel now back alongside Jason Ross Jr. to bring you the call here today. Jenna Rose will join us throughout the call of this game as we break things down around the baseball scene as well. Time to take a peek at our pitcher comparison here today, brought to you by Ascension. Jason, what do we got today?
Yeah, well, Ty Tracy, the right-hander on the Diamond Hoppers side of things, coming out of Victor Valley College in California, pitched in the California Winter League as well. He's got a sinker-slider combination. The slider has kind of a two-seam action on it as well. I should say the fastball has two-seam action on it. 92, 93 is where the velocity maxes out. But he's a fun guy to watch. He likes to set up inside with the fastball, then he'll get you chasing outside on the slider. On the west side of things, we have on the west side of things, it will be
Thacker.
Thacker, my apologies, Jeremy. So Thacker comes in with, now you look at his arsenal, and it's more of a fastball, changeup, curveball type of arsenal that we're looking at here for Thacker out of Madonna. And just talked with his former head coach earlier today. It was really fun chat, talking about how he has really worked on his craft in the off season, and now making his first start in the USPBL. So looking forward to watching him when they come out. But Ty Tracy as well should be fun to watch today, Jeremy.
Westside Woolly Mammoths, the visiting team here today. Norberto Navarro will step in to begin today's game. We're starting a bit earlier, 7:02 p.m. Here's the first pitch, inside. It's Navarro, McKinley, and McGee, your Zach Hart agency. 3 men due up here in the first. Tracy likes to work quick. Fastball outside, 2-0. Fly ball to left field. Going to send Vaughn Jr. in and Adam De La Cruz back. And it's Vaughn Jr. there to make the catch.
Next up, the right fielder, number 4, Trevor McKinley.
Time to take a look at the defense behind Ty Tracy here today. It's Greg Vaughn Jr. in left, Jason Aponte in center, Brandon Spalding in right. De Los Santos at third, De La Cruz and Lopez Rios up the middle. Kreutzer over at first. And Moretz completes the battery behind the dish here today. 1-0, little flub job to De La Cruz for out number 2.
That's what Tracy will do. He'll get in on your hands. Jammed up the hitter there, causing the soft liner. But in addition to I mentioned the slider and the fastball, sprinkles in a changeup every now and then too. But tries to go up and down, in and out. He's had a lot of success with the sliders away. Does a nice job of changing up the eye levels as well.
Here's the first pitch to Spencer McGee up top, 1-0. McGee and then Lamar Briggs, your Zach Hart agency man on deck here. Now the 1-0. Right to Kreutzer over at first. Going to feed Ty Tracy. And not in time as Tracy drops the baseball.
It was almost too good to be true there, Jeremy. Would have been a quick inning, but just as he went over to cover the bag, bobbled it slightly, and now he'll have to face another hitter.
Next up, the center fielder, number 7, Lamar Briggs.
So here's Lamar Briggs now. One of the lone returners to the Westside Woolly Mammoths this year. Some good numbers as you see there. 350 in the average column. Bright sun on all the outfielders right now as they try to shade their eyes.
Yeah, a little different than yesterday.
Sure is. But a bit more used to what they were facing in spring training.
Right.
I mean, mid-80s, high 80s.
Mm-hmm.
That's right around where we thought it would be and hoping for, I guess, on opening day. Just wasn't the case. Now the 1-1. High and away at 89. So Tracy, with an error here in the first inning, he was very close to a 1-2-3 inning. Navarro and McKinley both lined out to left and to the shortstop position. So Briggs playing center field again here today, but you talk to Willie Martin and Taylor Jellikowski, co-manager of the Mammoths this year is Taylor Jellikowski. They think he can play some different positions. Right now, primary position will most likely be in center field. Could see him again some at third and maybe even at second. He was taking ground balls there earlier. That one spoiled back to the screen. And Jason, yesterday, something that really, stuck out. Number one, more hits than we ever thought in such a cold environment. Number two, the great at-bats, I guess, which probably led to the hits and walks and all the runs we saw scored.
Yeah, well, we look at Tracy's pitch count right now. It's at 12. Probably could have gotten out of this inning prior to that. But when you examine, for example, A.J. Coleman's pitch count yesterday for the Beavers, it was about 40 through 2 innings. That just showcased the quality at-bat that the Unicorns are piecing together. And as you noted, Jeremy, more hits than we thought. Not necessarily hitting the ball out of the park, but as we mentioned in our pregame yesterday, the importance of, as we get a walk there, manufacturing runs, and that's what the game ultimately came down to when in the extra innings you place the runner at second base automatically and move him over and bring him home. So that was a lot of what we saw yesterday. Something that I was listening to Tigers manager A.J. Hinch say recently is we're not afraid to single a team to death if we have to. And sometimes that works. It sounds cliche, but put the ball in play and good things happen. All of a sudden, runners at first and second here after it looked like it was going to be a very quick inning for Tracy.
Trey Bigford looking to extend things here, the left fielder today. That one in for strike one. Bigford and then Noah Moore, your Zach Hart agency man on deck here in the first. Line out, error, walk. Has put runners on first and second with 2 gone. Just a slight breeze blowing in today with all those cotton fuzzies. That's my worst enemy.
They always come around my birthday, and right around now.
Happy birthday. So you got allergies too. Is that what I'm collecting?
Yeah, well, a little bit. You got to take the Claritins every now and then.
Yep. You never know exactly when you have to start, and then you get punished, as this one is off the glove of Aberrett. It's going to go all the way to the screen, and now 2 runners in scoring position out of nowhere here in the first. I've been in that mode this week, especially. You never know. You don't want it to hit right in the middle of a game, but sniffles come here and there. Seems like maybe a little bit later than we're used to here in Michigan, but maybe the weather has something to say about that as well. Here's the 2-1. Swing and a miss. It's got to be a bit harder to pick up for the batter, certainly right now. That shadow's going to engulf the pitcher's mound soon. The light tower shading all the way in right center field currently. With Aponte in center playing over to the right of the bag. Here's the 2-2 pitch now. High and tight at 88. He's been right around there with the fastball velocity. Not a lot of sliders. We saw maybe one in the last 10 pitchers or so of this outing so far.
You like to see guys establish the fastball early on. So we saw yesterday out of Coleman and Dakar.
Big pitch here over the glove of Tracy. There is Lopez Rios. This middle of the infield is solid. Talk about that more as the game goes on. They make the play there, and that ends the mini threat. Second and third via an error and a walk, but that's all that becomes of that. Well, your sweetheart of the game in the stadium today is presented by Thrifty Florists. Certainly a great spot to get those flowers. A little bit late for Mother's Day, but for Mother's birthday coming up, if you missed Mother's Day, be sure to get her that. And there's Chelsea Estes with our sweetheart of the game in the stadium here today. Again, that's presented by Thrifty Florist. There you go. So that's a happy recipient right there. So congratulations to our sweetheart of the game. Promotion that's a bit new this year. Now time for Jimmy John's Freaky Fast Facts. Now, if this was last year, we would have trivia and Jason would be challenged, but it's just facts this year. So in 1946, it was the first 8 games at Yankee Stadium. The Senators beat the Yankees 2-1. There you go. There's your second one. In 1912, Jackie Matthews has 2 cricket hat tricks in the same day when Australia and South Africa battled. There you go. Did not know that one.
No.
In 1949, at the French Championships in men's tennis, Frank Parker retains his title. Parker beat fellow American Budge Batty 6-3, 1-6, 6-1, and 6-4. You're a tennis guy, yeah?
I am. The French Open is just about to start up here. I believe Tennis Channel started their coverage today, so I'll be tuned into that in addition to baseball over the next couple of weeks.
I'm excited to see what Donovan Thacker can bring. He was the starting pitcher, the first guy that we saw in the simulated game on Tuesday. Pitched a couple innings, and he got hit around just a little bit, gave up a couple runs, but everybody that came after him looked really solid for this Mammoths team. And, you ask Taylor Jellikowski and John Dombrowski and, all the guys kind of surrounding the Mammoths team, including the pitching staff, Justin Orenduff and Shane McCaddy here at the league as well. One constant for the Mammoths is their pitching staff is strong. So we're excited to see it.
Oh, yeah. Again, to go over Thacker's arsenal, has good velocity, upper 80s, low 90s. The fastball kind of has the arm side run and sink, so it moves quite a bit. And his slider is a really good put-away pitch as well. So, again, kind of the traditional sinker-slider type pitcher, but can go with the change-up, too, to kind of change the velocity against a hitter. We talked yesterday about adding and subtracting with your velocity, and that's what his changeup does. So should be a fun outing, his first in the USPBL, and like yourself, Jeremy, a former Madonna Crusader.
Yeah, you a little intimidated, you and Jenna, by all the
yes,
Crusaders around here.
We're being overwhelmed.
Here's the first pitch to Greg Vaughn Jr. Slides off the plate outside for ball 1. This is certainly a guy to watch as well. And Greg Vaughn, your starting left fielder for Paul Noce here today. A guy that started a little bit slow with the bat, but certainly picked it up. That exit velocity started to pick up as well as the year went on. He started tagging some balls as the stretch run of the season began. He was one of those guys that started on the taxi squad to begin the year and then kind of settled in with the Hoppers. 1-1 on the ground pass Thacker. Navarro going to lay out, but it's going to stretch by him. And it's time to check the defense now behind Donovan Thacker here today. It's Trey Bickford in left, Lamar Briggs in center, Trevor McKinley in right. He switches uniforms this year. Carta, the U of M Dearborn product at third, Guzman and Navarro up the middle, Spencer McGee over at first, and Noah Moore completing the battery. There's a lot of exciting things to talk about this defense as well. It's considered to be a very talented group up the middle. Starts certainly with Navarro and Guzman. Guzman, a returner after signing with the Minnesota Twins. He was the top-ranked infielder in their organization before being released. Kind of one of those COVID cuts. Or top shortstop, I should say, but still. Surprising that you let a guy like that go.
Certainly impressive. Either way, Jeremy, yesterday we had Austin Dakar, who was released by the Yankees last summer. These different stories, comeback stories, as you titled them yesterday, are fun to watch guys try to get back to where they were. And you mentioned the defense right now. Runner being held on at first, kind of at double play depth here with less than 2 outs.
1-1 poke to right, and that's going to scurry its way foul. So Juan Lopez Rios, the second baseman, battling a bit here with Donovan Thacker.
Lopez Rios always described himself as a scrappy player. Now he's got 2 strikes on him. This is where you want to get scrappy as a batter.
Aponte, Jason Aponte, your Zach Hart agency man on deck. One of the switch hitters in these 2 lineups here today. Each team has one. Always something fun to track. Makes you a little bit more valuable, I'm sure. Now the 1-2. 77-mile-an-hour slider outside. So the high end for the slider in his college season was around 82. Changeup, something he's been working on. Look at all those fuzzies. I wouldn't want to be playing down there right now. It's fouled off.
Went back up to 88 that time. You mentioned the velocity on the slider, Jeremy. He throws it fairly hard, so that's why the changeup, really incorporating that, paid dividends, because eventually it gets a higher levels of baseball like this one. If your slider and fastball don't have much velocity, range guys are going to catch up to that. So when you can incorporate the changeup, it helps.
That one flubbed to center field. Lamar Briggs coming in, and he's going to make that catch. That for out number 1 here in the first. And now Jason Aponte will come to the plate. Another new addition, hitting right in the middle of the order here.
He's got that slightly open stance, as you can see there. Now the runner will take off.
Here's the 1-0. In there for strike 1. Aponte, Kreutzer, De Los Santos in the heart of the lineup here today for the Hoppers. Now the 1-1 kind of floated its way to Carta along the left side. And he's going to make that catch. A lot of foul territory there. That's one thing that you have to learn with this field.
That was a nice effort there from Carta to make his way over. Brings up Kreutzer, another guy with power in his bat. And 14 extra base hits total during his senior season at Arkansas Pine Bluff. He's got more of a square traditional stance in comparison to the previous more open stance that we saw. All about what gives you balance and allows you to see the baseball.
That one in for strike 1. Well, it's got to be a bit unnerving for Donovan Thacker to start his first game, but it's got to make it a little bit more comfortable to throw to a guy he's familiar to throwing with, certainly. Noah Moore actually wasn't the starting catcher this year for Madonna. That shows you how deep they were in that position. Very close to getting another opening round bid were the Crusaders this year, but losing to University of Northwestern Ohio in the championship game. Thacker threw in that series, one of his longest outings of the year.
Yeah, naturally, as you'd expect, Madonna head coach Justin Karn told me that Moore knows what makes Thacker successful. What can he throw to be successful? So that combination, there's inherent chemistry there, and it's just cool to see those two working together in Thacker's first start.
Vaughn Jr. edging off of second. This one golfed to the gap in right center field, back towards the stage, but it's going to hang up near the warning track as Lamar Briggs will squeeze that catch. So nothing becomes of the leadoff single by Greg Vaughn Jr. Some soft contact besides that one against Donovan Thacker, and he works himself out of this inning. More when we get back here on the USPBL Network.
Dunham Sports is a proud partner of the USPBL. Big names, low prices, delivering value since 1937.
There's nothing better than a ball game at Jimmy John's Field and a cold beer from Midland Brewing Company. Hi, I'm Kyle, the head brewer at Midland Brewing Company, here to wish you a stellar time making memories at Jimmy John's Field. And we hope that you're living it up with a Copper Harbor Ale in your cup. You can find more of our selections here at the ballpark and around town at your favorite bottle shops too. We hope you have a ball at the game, and remember, enjoy responsibly. Let's play ball.
USPBL Network Baseball is sponsored by our credit union. AAA, Ascension, Belfour Property Restoration, Budweiser, DTE Energy, Jack's Car Wash, Jimmy John's, Macomb Community College, McLaren Macomb, McQuaid Heating and Cooling, your Metro Detroit Chevy dealers, Pepsi, Scott's, and UWM. We thank all those fine partners for what they do for this league and our broadcast as well. A reminder, you can chime in with us on Facebook and YouTube, whichever one you're watching. Joby asked, who's all your picks for the Chevy race tonight? I've got PD Pickup. There you go. I'm going to pick PD too. I'm going to go right with you there, Joby. Why not? John Willis says hello from Taylor, Michigan. Play ball. John Eads says let's go. Andrew Selesky. Big fan of Andy Appleby. Scott Gordon says he misses Dan Griesbaum Jr.
How many countries are we going to hit tonight, Jeremy? I believe we got Germany last night.
Let's set a goal of 3. How does that sound?
Maybe we can start setting a goal of continents as well.
That's true, yeah. Cross them off.
Yes.
I don't know if I told you, if you've seen it, but we literally had a map last year of all the states and all the countries that we would, continue to highlight as the year went on. And often, we'd bring up the map and then somebody else would say, hey, I'm watching from wherever. So it's pretty cool. USPBL Network International.
Yes, we are global.
Here's the 0-2 outside.
So that's what I was looking for out of Tracy today. That pitch outside. We talked yesterday about every pitch having a purpose. 0-2. It's okay that's in the dirt. You're still in really good shape at 1 and 2. But established inside early with the fastball. Now let's see what he goes to here.
Floated and a perfect spot for Noah Moore to collect his first professional hit.
Yeah, a little too sweet over the heart of the plate. Moore took advantage, timed it up. Hit to the opposite field.
And those two share a nice moment. Taylor Jellikowski also coaching on the Madonna staff this year.
And Justin Karn was really proud of all of his guys. Just a wonderful person to chat with. And the head coach over at Madonna, happy birthday to his son, by the way. First birthday today. And that's a nice present for him as well.
First pitch to Smith on the ground to Lopez Rios, feeds to second in time. De La Cruz with a quick whip over to first. And that's an easy double play for the second out here in the second. Well, I think we have 2 solid double play combinations in this game. There's some good ones last year as well. And that can be jarring for some guys because you hear about, all the former players say that's big time about timing, between the shortstop and the second baseman.
You see the infield go back to more of a normal depth, but prior to that, you had the runner being held on at first with less than 2 outs, so the middle infielders pinch a bit closer to the bag and get in a position where they could make that play.
0-1 popped him up. Aberrett trying to race to the screen there, kind of out of our view, but it's going to land foul. So Antonio Carta getting his first professional at-bat as well. 2 NAI guys batting 6 and 8 in the lineup here tonight. Carta, the U of M Dearborn product. Here's the 0-2. Trying to bury the sinker on the outside, but Good look there from Carta. And that's the thing, too, when you talk about timing, of all the guys on the field and, throwing pitcher to catcher in terms of that relationship. These guys don't have a lot of time to figure that out because spring training is fairly short, only a week long.
Oh, yeah.
Spalding is going to pick out number 3 in the right field corner. Good job by Ty Tracy to erase the leadoff single. 6-4-3 double play. De La Cruz, Juan Lopez Rios to Kreutzer. And then a flyout by Antonio Carta. All smiles for Ty Tracy.
The Carpet Guys give you warehouse direct pricing and customer service that will knock your socks off.
Now at the Carpet Guys, you can get 4 years interest-free financing. Plus, we're taking extra precautions to ensure the safety of our customers.
Let the Carpet Guys bring the store to your door with prices that will knock your socks off. Be wise and call the Carpet Guys at 855-4MY-GUYS. Locally owned and supporting Michigan families.
Be wise, call the Carpet Guys at 855-4MY-GUYS.
Check your checking. If your account doesn't get you pumped, amped, or geeked, make the switch to Genius Checking from Genesis Credit Union. It's just genius.
Whenever my family wants to enjoy the great outdoors, we pack up my Chevy Blazer and go camping in style. It looks great, and with the cargo management system, we can bring all the comforts of home away from home. Plus, with available 4G LTE Wi-Fi, the kids can still stay connected with friends. Thanks to my Blazer, roughing it isn't rough at all.
Lease a 2021 Blazer 2 LT for just $219 a month. Put it in D and see why Chevy drives the Motor City.
Donovan Thacker takes the hill for his second inning of work here in the second inning. Greg Vaughn Jr. led it off with a single on him back in the first inning. But after that, 3 straight outs. Fly out, pop out, fly out. And Thacker is one of those guys that has quite the journey. I mean, and I don't think there's not time to talk about all of it before this at-bat happens. But, I mean, he's a guy who didn't make his 7th and 8th grade team. Think about that. Then he made his first high school team as a 9th grader, the freshman team, played a JV season, and then made varsity as a junior, but really only played 2 games between his junior and senior year. Did have an offer from Cleary University and ended up signing. Did not end up going to Cleary. But in the end, he was a guy who walked on at Schoolcraft, had an okay year in his terms, and then took a year off of baseball. He was literally pitching in a men's league with Marcus Doughton, a pitcher at Madonna as well, as this one is cued foul. As Carter reacting over at third base. And Doughton said, hey, you look good. I'm going to hook you up with Ted Faulkner, the former head coach at Madonna. He's since left to another NAIA school, and he threw a bullpen, and Ted said, yeah, I'm going to sign you. Now he's playing professional ball after that full circuit kind of story. Here's the 1-1 outside. It's De Los Santos, Spalding, and Aberretz here in the second inning. Your Zach Hart agency 3 men due up. But he's not the only story like that. We've already kind of hit on some yesterday.
Oh, yeah. And Jeremy, you talked prior to our last break about the relationship. The reason why those guys sport early to spring training, but the combination today of Moore and Thacker, there is an inherent chemistry that's involved, having played together.
2-1 line to right. McKinley is under it for out number 1.
And good to see him settle in as well after you mentioned that first quick base hit. And since then has gotten now 4 quick, efficient outs in a row.
Next up, the right fielder, number 3, Brendan Spalding.
Now Brendan Spalding will come to the plate. Spalding, Aberrett, De La Cruz, Mercedes will round out the lineup. Hopper's lineup that certainly looks a bit different this year. And in fact, you see one guy on the other end, and Trevor McKinley, who saw some time in Paul Nochi's uniform. Overthrow by Carta. Going to lead to at least second base as it It does not get out of play as Moore had to run all the way down that foul territory on the first base line.
Jeremy, you noted the different-looking Hoppers lineup this year. Spalding's another first-year USPBL player, and that throw is something that reminds me of what hurt the Beavers yesterday in a game that they could have won, potentially, but it was throwing errors. I believe there were 3 errors total in that game, a couple on the left side of the infield, and you do that enough, eventually it comes back to haunt you in a close game like the one that we watched yesterday. Yeah, that throw just kind of pulled the first baseman off the bag a little too high.
And maybe errors early on in the season, especially for guys who are trying to get used to this field and just used for the professional setting. Wasn't a surprise, but we've kind of already talked about it. All the hits might have been a surprise. Not as the night continued to unfold. That was just the MO, not the solid pitching that we thought we might see. Here's the 0-1. Good location at 88 with the fastball inside, but Aberrat didn't bite. So mostly fastball, slider so far for Donovan Thacker. Have we seen a changeup yet today? I don't think so. Maybe 1 or 2. Here's the 1-1. In on the hands again.
Went off speed a bit that time. Dropped it down to 80. Something we've seen Tracy doing early on is jamming up hitters with the inside pitches and has caused a couple of soft line outs because of that.
There's the berm out in right field. Good to see people back on that this year. Something that was not utilized last year because of COVID-19, but that's a popular spot here at Jimmy John's Field. Sprayed to right in front of those fans out there. McKinley is able to make that catch. Moves up Spalding to third base. That was one of my favorite spots before I began to work for the USPBL to catch a game. Nice cheap seat out there. You can either kind of sit on the edge of the brick or right on the grass, bring the blanket. Talk about lawn seats, you think about concerts, and that's something that's going to come back, I think, sooner than later. Tours, I think, being booked left and right with the restrictions being lifted.
We have our classic rock night here, among other things.
Yep.
I love a good berm, by the way.
Sure. It feels like baseball, though, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah.
It kind of screams baseball spring training, too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Tigers have a left field berm.
Yep. You ever been down to Joker Marchand Stadium?
I have not. I want to. And, yeah, they had the social distancing going on in the berm this year. That's,
the little outline squares.
Yes.
The things that we'll think about 20 years from now. Is there going to be a museum of masks at some point,
That could be a thing.
All the cloth masks,
yeah.
all the different cloth masks, all the different paper ones, too. Somebody's going to say, what's that? Or maybe not.
Hopefully that'll be normal one day to say, what's that?
Sure.
What was that? Yeah.
Here's the 2-0. Up high, fastball at 88. So Thacker with a runner on third base with 2 outs, just trying to get out of this inning, but things not looking good. 3-0 count to a good veteran hitter here. Moore trying to frame that one. A bit too far outside with the slider. Came in at 78. And De La Cruz will coax a walk. Talked to Paul Noce about De La Cruz about a week ago, and he said, big-time leader, and that's something we obviously knew last year, but he said as much that he's going to become almost a player coach for me, help a lot with practices and help new guys that are coming into this league, and that's so important in any level of professional sports, really. I mean, you always have your standout veterans, guys that have been around that can show you the ropes, because it is a lot different for these guys in a lot of ways.
We mentioned just the newness on this Eastside team. De La Cruz, one of the second-year guys, utility player too, so he's flexible. He can move him around if need be, and he's willing to do that.
So they've completed the lineup here. 4 batters came to the plate in the first, and now 5 more here in the second. Here's Nafi Mercedes, the designated hitter here today. Still trying to figure out a position that works for him. 1-0 is outside. Came into the league as a shortstop, and they said possibly that's his position, but they're going to kind of move him around and play him in different spots.
And back-to-back 2-0 counts for Thacker. See if he can find a strike here.
Jammed him inside again at 87. That's been a constant so far here for Thacker. And he's gotten a few calls and no calls, I guess, on those borderline pitches on the black, low and in on these righties.
Keep an eye on how they're calling that inside corner.
2-1, club to Navarro at second base. Easy line drive catch for him, and that will end the second inning of play. Some action on the base pass, runners on first and third, but nothing becomes of it as we're still scoreless here on the USPBL network.
I'm all in with HR and Organizational Development Council.
I'm all in with Marketing and Business Development Council.
I'm all in with Operations and Member Experience Council.
I'm all in with CEO Council.
I'm all in with Lending Council.
I'm all in with CFO Council.
I'm all in with Technology Council.
Our credit union is all in with CUNA Councils.
Want to hit your home cleanup project out of the park? Well, making sure that your driveway is safe from damage? Rent a rubber-wheeled trailer from GFL and keep all of your bases covered. Our trailers come in 20 and 30-yard sizes for all your cleanup needs. Call GFL today to order your driveway-safe rubber-wheeled trailer. Team GFL, helping you win your cleanup project.
Welcome back to Jimmy John's Field. Jeremy Otto back alongside Jason Ross Jr., Jenna Rose, third member of our team. Another classic rock Saturday here today. Another good addition to one of the many promotions that you will see this year. There's a whole ton of them. Just go to USPBL.com to see those. Click on the schedule tab and the promotional schedule under that. Bark in the Park tomorrow, presented by Happy Tales Learning Center for Dogs. That's the place that trains JJ. And you got a bucket hat giveaway on Memorial Day Monday, presented by Chief Financial Credit Union. Thursday next June. Meet the Mammoths and fireworks next Friday as well on the 4th. Country Music Night on the 5th. And Princess Day, presented by F45 Training.
We didn't even talk about that perk of the berm, Jeremy. There's just casually classic rock going on.
That's true.
As you rest in your berm and watch baseball.
Jam out with the air guitar out there as you watch the guys play. Adrian Guzman, the bottom of the lineup, due up first here in the third. 2-0 high and tight at 90.
Good eye there. Now he's in the driver's seat, seeing both pitchers fall behind in counts.
It's in there for strike one. We've already talked about Guzman's defensive ability. I mean, he's known as probably the best middle infielder in this league. I don't think it's even a probably at this point. 3-1 again, lifted foul. Guzman, then turning it back to Norberto Navarro and Trevor McKinley, your Zach Hart agency. 3 men due up here in the third inning. Navarro and McKinley both lined out to begin their at-bats. Here comes the full count delivery up to Aponte in center. There's out number 1. So far so good for Ty Tracy. A little bit of base pass action in both innings. He had a 2-out error, actually turned to him. Spencer McGee reached third base in the end after a pass ball. And then Lamar Briggs walked and reached second base before the ground out by Trey Bigford. A leadoff single in the second, erased immediately by the middle infielders and Nick Kreutzer over at first. First pitch to Navarro, in for strike one. This is a guy they like. Taylor Jellikowski and Willie Martin both speaking about his abilities. Jellikowski kind of wrapped it up in one word and said, hey, he's a gamer. Nice slider there for strike two. Now the 1-2 delivery. Can of corn for Kreutzer. Light contact really on both of these guys so far.
That's true, inducing the soft contact, and that's been the vast majority of how Tracy has gotten his outs today. Nothing wrong with that at all. We saw a lot of that from Dakar on Friday night and helped him to work 3 very efficient scoreless innings for the Unicorns.
Taylor Jellikowski and John Dombrowski were both happy to get Trevor McKinley this year. Wasn't a for sure bet to come back to the league, but they were looking for a lefty bat, and he fit that mold, obviously. He has some pop. Looked pretty good in batting practice. Has made a few tweaks to this swing. Checked his swing there. Plays a good outfield as well. He made some big-time plays going down the stretch last year in the playoffs.
Well-traveled guy, played for Nicholas State, Palm Springs as well, Martin Methodist College. He's been in different roles in the past.
Waiting in the 3-1 now. Club to right, Spalding. Oh, boy. Having to readjust in midair to pick up that one for out number 3. Ty Tracy with a pretty easy third inning of play, and that's 5 outs in a row retired by him. Still scoreless. Last out brought to you by Fifth Third Bank. Now time for JJ, the field general today, presented by Michigan First Credit Union. As always, we told you it's Bark in the Park tomorrow night. Not sure if there's any tickets left. If there are, they're certainly limited for tomorrow, but that's always a fun event. I believe there's multiple ones throughout the season as well. Sponsored by Happy Tails Learning Center for Dogs. When he's given the green light, JJ's going to bring that water out to your base pass umpire here today. There he goes. So that's good stuff. JJ gets his treat. And getting ready now for our DTE Energy Kid Race. The mascot is Donovan Thacker is back out there for his warm-up tosses here in the third inning. He'll face the top of the lineup in Greg Vaughn Jr., Juan Lopez Rios, and Jason Aponte. So Ribby is the mascot here today. And he, as always, he will get the head start. Lancelot had a decent start yesterday, but was blown away by the kid in red. That's a good turn for the young lady there at second base. And Ribby's dogging it right now. Jackie's all the way around the third base bank. She's going to head her way home. Well, she's no. Nice job by Jackie. That's your DTE Energy Kid Race, the mascot. Nice job all the way around. Well, a reminder, you can chime in with us both on Facebook and YouTube. 2 spots to watch us. And be sure to like us on Facebook, because every time, if you're a fan of our page, we're live push notification. And if you subscribe, the same will happen to you, I believe, via email. And maybe if you have the YouTube app, a push notification as well. And subscribers joined us yesterday, so welcome. Bruce Peppers on YouTube says, wishing my Unicorns were playing tonight. Love that team. Larry Kubiak says, Polka Nights? Sure if that's a part of... I'm going to do a quick search here. Well, looks like June 17th, Polish American Heritage Night.
Yep.
Featuring a polka band, so that's good stuff. Again, June 17th, USPBL.com for tickets. Again, our capacities will be expanding next week. So if you think things are sold out just because of what we have here and everybody trying to rush back to the ballpark, not quite yet, but be sure to scamper and get those tickets for next week. 0-1 on Greg Vaughn Jr. He had a single back in the first inning. Him, Juan Lopez Rios, and Aponte, your Zach Hart agency. 3 men due up here in the third inning. That wind still blowing in towards the right center field gap. It's according to the American flag. The flags on the other side are kind of blowing out, just maybe slightly to left field as this one rides outside.
Jeremy, you just went over all the fun we'll have at the ballpark this year. Vaughn Jr. is a guy who spent quite a bit of time at the ballpark in his day.
Sure
Dad,
did.
Greg, played in the majors for 15 years.
It's a major pop in that bat, certainly.
Yeah, with the Padres back in '98 when they lost the World Series to the Yankees. Greg's been around the game quite a bit.
Waiting on the 3-1 here as that rides off the plate outside.
Yeah. With guys who grow up in a household like that, they just have an understanding of the game. And for Vaughn Jr., his understanding of the strike zone, his plate discipline is pretty evident. And when you're taught by someone like his dad who played in the majors for so long, you pick things up like that. And it's something that for younger guys in the batter's box can be a learning curve, I should say.
Sure.
But for Vaughn Jr., maybe a little head in that particular category.
Lopez Rios trying to sneak one in. Thacker quickly off the mound. Fires and too far as McGee laid off. Vaughn Jr. to third base. He's going to be held there by Paul Noce. And now runners are on second and third to begin this third.
Yes, yeah, we've seen the little errors creep in, and again, sounds cliche, but put the ball in play and something good might happen. All of a sudden, runners in scoring position with nobody out. After the walk, and now you have Aponte coming up to bat.
Jose on YouTube says, greetings from Costa Rica. There you go. Ross Rickles says, Frank Luska is watching this game, studying Donnie's every move. Two former teammates, of course, at Madonna. Dave Page comments, today looks 1,000 times warmer than we experienced last night out there. So glad baseball is back. Thanks for providing an entertaining broadcast for the games we can't attend. Good to have you back, Dave, and glad you could make it out to the game yesterday as well. Jen Duff Stevens says, so glad baseball is back again. We couldn't agree more. Runners on second and third with no outs to begin this third inning. It's Aponte looking to snap his 0 for 1. Slinged in for strike one, the fastball at 87.
So we want to capitalize. So far, more errors than hits total in this game. Certainly playing a key role in the narrative early, especially with only 7 innings. Every little mistake matters. These high leverage outs that you want to try to get if you're Thacker, but hoping to wiggle his way out of the situation with second and third.
Carta playing fairly close to Greg Vaughn Jr., able to get a decent hopping secondary lead. That looked like the changeup. We haven't seen much of that so far today from Donovan Thacker. Now the 1-2. Just got a piece of the slider that bit in at 78. The walk by Greg Vaughn Jr. on a 3-1 pitch, and then the double by Juan Lopez Rios, or the reach on the ear, I should say. 1-2 on the ground, up the middle, past Thacker. It's going to score 1, maybe 2 as they send him around. No! He was trying to blow through the stop sign at first. I'm not sure he saw Paul Noce, and he almost bear hugged him to say, hey, go back. Greg Vaughn Jr. makes it 1-0 Hoppers here.
Ponce's got really good quality hitting tools and timed that up very well. Prior pitch, he was a little late, but then looked for another one down in the zone, and barrel met the ball on the sweet spot. But it did a really nice job of covering the bottom of the strike zone there.
So here's Kreutzer now. Fly out to center field to end the second inning. And sensing some trickeration is Navarro as he takes that throw in front of the bag, making sure that Lopez Rio stays at third base. But all of a sudden things are snowballing a bit on the Mammoths and Donovan Thacker here in the third inning. Here's the 0-1 on Kreutzer. That big, powerful left-handed bat slams it back to the screen. Ken Smith on Facebook comments, watching at our cottage in the UP. Where from? Laura K. Chidsey says, I knew it was going to be cold yesterday, but I didn't want to miss opening day. I think that was kind of the sentiments of most. Here's the 0-2. High. The fastball at 87. Linda Ashman says hello from Chapel Hill, North Carolina. Go Woolly Mammoths. Tony Thacker says that's my nephew pitching for the Mammoths. Here's the 1-2. Looped foul. Another slider at 77. So a lot of you chiming in on both Facebook and Twitter. Maria Briggs says the Briggs family tuned in from Charlotte, North Carolina. Let's go Mammoths. Was able to chat with Lamar Briggs' dad before he flew back right around spring training time. Here's the 1-2. Fouled away. Always kind of cool to run into the parents and the host families. We know all the players speak so highly about the host families and their experience there. Some stay with host families, some in the apartments, others traveling locally, but more often than not, they're not very local. That shows the girth of this league and what they're able to put together in terms of rosters and players that they're attracting.
Yeah, Ty Tracy, the starting pitcher today for the Diamond Hoppers, is living with a host family. And Tracy had been staying down in Oklahoma, so obviously good to be in a comfortable place when you come up here for the entire summer. Meanwhile, Kreutzer really battling with 2 strikes.
Slider in there for strike 3. Nice bending movement on that one, and boy, did Thacker need that.
Yeah, just clipped the outside corner. That was an area of the strike zone that we were keeping an eye on. Was able to get it there, but a nice battle from Kreutzer. However, that was the pitch that Justin Karn, the head coach of Madonna, told me earlier today. That's the put-away pitch when Thacker is on. He's getting called strikes off of it. It's that much better.
So still second and third with 1 gone and a run already in. Greg Vaughn Jr. has scored the first run of this game. Christian De Los Santos looking for his first hit in the USPBL.
We've got a former WAC player on the mound and a former WAC player in the batter's box. De Los Santos played for Indiana Tech, which has been a good program over the years. Loves to study Manny Machado.
Here's the 1-0 on the ground to Guzman. Let it roll a bit, and that one's going to get by Spencer McGee. 2 runs are going to come around to score. 3-zip Hoppers here in the third.
That's what happens when you have traffic on the base paths, Jeremy. You put pressure on infielders, especially when there's guys with speed, to maybe make the play a little quicker. And second time today, we've seen a throw pull the first baseman off the bag. And time translates into 2 more runs, a bit of insurance for the Diamond Hoppers.
And it almost looked like Guzman thought that one would play a little quicker. You know, he kind of let it go, thinking that might come to him maybe a little faster from his shortstop position. I think you kind of realized at the last second, I got to get this throw over quick, otherwise I'm not getting him over at first base.
That's one of the interesting things about baseball. You talk about all of the newcomers to the Diamond Hoppers roster, and such a fun game because unlike, say, hockey or basketball or football where the dimensions are always the same, sometimes in baseball the field dimensions are different. The infield plays a little different. Now, these guys, as you noted, not too long ago came up here and maybe didn't have a ton of time in spring training to get used to it. They were playing in different fields as well. So you noted the chemistry on the infield. Getting used to how the infield plays is also something else that factors in.
Yeah, this foul territory, other than
that too,
you know, extremely down the left and right field line, has got to be closest to Oakland Coliseum, and that's like the only one I can think of with this much.
Now they're talking about moving to Portland, Vegas, potentially. Obviously, that's when the A's are good. That's a fun place. I've never been, but a rocking house. The Tigers have to deal with that foul territory every season out in Oakland.
It's Greg Luukkonen warming up for the Mammoths. Him and Colin Ledbetter are the two arms that will likely be used here today in relief of Thacker if need be. One spoiled foul. Spalding reached on an error back in the second. Got all the way to the third base. That was the first threat that Thacker was able to strand. On the ground, and Navarro flips to Guzman over to first, and that's a tailor-made double play with those two up the middle. And boy, did Donovan Thacker need that as well. 3 runs come around to score off a walk, an error, a single, and another error. It's 3-0 Hoppers in this one. Back with more after this on the USPBL Network.
We build roads, bridges, wind farms, and pipelines, schools to skyscrapers. Our members create monuments. We operate. We're the operators and mechanics behind the advanced heavy machines that move Michigan forward. We maintain boilers and HVAC. Our members run the complex heating and cooling systems that we all depend on. Our training is second to none, and safety is our priority. We are Operating Engineers 324, and we keep Michigan running.
I'm all out of love for my old insurance. Switch to insurance. They're saving me so much. They covered my car and bundled with my home. I feel so secure to say I love insurance.
Hello, AAA Insurance.
Goodbye, insurance. Hello.
Insurance.
Get a quote and save up to 20%.
There's a look at the Michigan Schools and Government Credit Union soundstage here today. Our first band of the year rocking things out. We had a marching band perform the national anthem today for the second straight day, so that was cool to see as well.
Rochester High School, I believe.
Jeremy Idle alongside Jason Ross Jr. to bring in the call here today. We thank everyone for tuning in. Kevin Smith on YouTube says, let's go Noah and Donnie. Hashtag Madonna on Lom. Tony Thacker says they're watching from Monroe, Michigan. Brandon LaPrise says, go host families, best experience.
Leading off for the Westside Woolly Mammoths, the first baseman, number 9, Spencer McGee.
It's Aberrett. Or check that. It's McGee, Briggs, and Bigford. 345, your Zach Hart agency. 3 men due up here. Rios over to Kreutzer. 1 up and 1 down. So this meat of the order, and you can even include Trevor McKinley in that. And 2 through 5 has been kept quiet so far today by Ty Tracy. You love the pacing that he's been able to establish here today.
I was just going to say his presence on the mound, there's a confidence about him right now. Working out of the windup.
First pitch grooved in for strike 1. The slider at 79. Fairly straight up infield. The right fielder, Aponte, you see them kind of sliding to the right of the second base bag and in. That's kind of where he likes to play, it appears. It's where he's been for most batters. It's not a spray chart thing at this point, it doesn't seem. No. Outfielder's still dealing with that sun, and the shadow that was messing with the batters is slowly drifting right to left now, with another one kind of almost encapsulating the pitcher's mound. Dips in the slider at 79 for strike 2. 2-2 on Lamar Briggs. He had a walk back in the first inning. De Los Santos cuts it off for out number 2 with a nice scoop by Kreutzer. So Ty Tracy, that's now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 outs in a row when you count the 6-4-3 double play that started that chain in the second. And in general, only 1 hit. That was to start the second base.
And defensively, you like to work behind a guy like this who moves with a nice rhythm, moves quickly. De Los Santos, I mentioned at third base, fan of Manny Machado, who is one of the more well-regarded third baseman in Major League Baseball right now. And there's a nice play ranging to his left. And as you noted, Jeremy, nice scoop out of the dirt as well from Kreutzer at first.
Popped him up to the outfield. Spalding shading the sun. He's going to let Aponte take it. That is for out number 3. Back-to-back 1, 2, 3 breezes for Ty Tracy. He looks real good, and the best starting outing probably we've seen so far this year.
Hello. Lovely home, by the way, but it looks like you could use some new flooring.
Now at the Carpet Guys, you get 4 years interest-free financing. Plus, we're taking extra precautions to ensure the safety of our customers.
Be wise and call the Carpet Guys.
First State Bank is a locally owned and operated business. We're part of your community. At fsbcares.com, you'll find ways that we're making a difference by featuring locally owned and operated businesses, providing access to helpful financial resources, and engaging with community. FSBcares.com is part of our commitment to the neighborhood because strong neighbors mean stronger communities. Where good neighbors do great things. Member FDIC, an equal housing lender.
Well, shake it off here at Jimmy John's Field. Kind of a digital transition last year and a tradition that's been carried on since this ballpark has been around. There's the fans getting into it as well. Looks like a Mammoths fan with a Mammoths foam finger. He's getting into it. I think his own rendition of the shake it off there, huh?
Yeah.
Are you a dancer?
Ooh, see, Jeremy, we were testing my singing skills last night.
Yeah.
So the dancing feels like another step. First, I got to master the singing skills.
I'm not at all a dancer, so I'm not even going to.
We can learn together.
Sure.
We learned how to sing together last night. Dancing is the next step.
Were we off key? They said we were okay, but I think they were just being nice.
Yeah, they might have been protecting our feelings a little bit, but.
Well, see, because, we were caught off guard a little bit because they started it in the stadium. We started a little bit earlier, so we didn't know which, words to go off of, so we just went with the stadium, and the words were off. We'll try to be more in sync here today. Donovan Thacker is back out there. A rough third inning, but a decent job to kind of reel it back in, Jason. I mean, the leadoff walk, then the error, the single, they all scored. Then the strikeout and error in a 4-6-3 double play was the huge part of it. Navarro to Guzman to McGee. Guzman Going to just dribble that one over.
That was going to be a tough play to make. But something interesting about Thacker is that the ERA last year with Madonna was kind of deceptive. You know, Justin Karn was telling me that more often than not he would pitch a really good 4 or 5 innings, then maybe hit a wall in, say, the 6th. But that's where I was kind of looking at his longevity, particularly at this point in the game, especially in his first professional start. Now, second, third trip through the order, hitters start to adjust. I wonder how this will play out here with De La Cruz.
De La Cruz had that big grand slam, just kind of out of nowhere in the playoffs that rejuvenated the Hoppers offense. First pitch slider in for strike 1. Had a 4th pitch walk his first time up. Good plate discipline for him. He didn't really see a lot of at-bats in the spring. He was kind of letting some of the older guys get their reps, and even today batting 8th.
A pretty high walk rate. Played for the Regina Red Sox prior to the USPBL, one of 6 former Regina Red Sox playing in the USPBL on opening weekend rosters.
Here's the 0-2. Outside, 1-2 on Adam De La Cruz now.
He's got really good quick hands as well.
Two and two on the shortstop. Versatile piece. You know, even saw him pitch in the simulated game. He was actually a closer in college, so that's not out of the blue, but since he hit pro ball, that really hasn't been a thing for him. Kind of an emergency arm for Paul Noce if need be. Rumored that around the league that, yeah, Noce just wanted to give him a shot to see what he had. He threw a few batters. McKinley playing the most spread out between the outfielders in right field. Leaves some space you see there between him and Briggs, who's got some range in center field as Aberrett swipes the bag. We've seen a decent amount of aggressiveness on the base pass so far in the first pair of games we've watched.
Yeah, we did yesterday, certainly. And that can pay dividends when it's smart, aggressive base running. But that last strikeout there from Thacker did well to get in on the hands of De La Cruz, who kind of had his, in his swing, you can tell the hands were extended out a bit, has really good bat speed to make up for it. But if you can exploit him, it would be on the inside part of the plate, and that's what we saw Thacker go to there.
So with the runner in scoring position, the bottom of the lineup up here in Nafy Mercedes, Greg Vaughn Jr., your Zach Hart agency man on deck. He's already reached twice. That one in for strike 1. Designated hitter here today for Paul Noce's lineup. Righty on righty. He's going to pop it up to short. Center field, basically just behind second base for Navarra. And there's 2 gone. Dana Harrelson watching from Dadeville, Alabama. She says go number 4, Trevor McKinley. So we have a Alabama watcher. I feel like just with opening weekend, with the game and a half we've seen so far, we've got, I don't know, 5-10 states covered already.
I was going to say this league in general represents so many different parts of the country. Tracy, who's starting for the Diamond Hoppers today and working a very efficient outing. He was from California, moved to Oklahoma, family around the country.
Oh, that was weird. It looked like it may have nipped Greg Vaughn Jr., but it actually just went off the glove of Noah Moore. It's going to allow Aberrett to scramble to third base with 2 outs. That's big. Greg Vaughn Jr. at the leadoff spot, something that kind of began last month of the season last year as he continued to swing it well. And you'd think, yeah, a guy with fairly high exit velocity, what's he doing at the leadoff spot? But he's got some speed. He's got some good contact ability, and he gives you good at-bats. Like
Oh, yeah.
So far here today.
Drew a walk his last.
That started 3-run third. A bit, it was only 6 efficiently with the 3 that reached, all scoring. Slider inside. No action in either pen at the moment. We saw Greg Lukanen warming when Thacker was having some trouble in the third. I'm sure that 6-4-3 double play helped his cause. Navarro slid up his glove just a little bit, able to stay with it and make the play. The leadoff single, stranded at third base. Strikeout, pop-out, ground-out. Nice job by Donovan Thacker. This is it for him in the fourth. Pretty good pro debut to finish things off. Back with more after this here on the USPBL Network.
Whenever my family wants to enjoy the great outdoors, we pack up my Chevy Blazer and go camping in style. It looks great, and with the cargo management system, we can bring all the comforts of home away from home. Plus, with available 4G LTE Wi-Fi, the kids can still stay connected with friends. Thanks to my Blazer, roughing it isn't rough at all.
Lease a 2021 Blazer 2 LT for just $219 a month. Put it in D and see why Chevy drives the Motor City.
I'm all out of love for my old insurance. Switch to insurance. They're saving me so much. They covered my car and bundled with my home. I feel so secure to say I love insurance.
Hello, AAA Insurance.
Goodbye, insurance. Hello.
Insurance.
Get a quote and save up to 20%.
Take a look at our upcoming games this week. It's a 3-0 Diamond Hoppers lead here. Able to gain all those runs back in the third inning. Tomorrow, Westside Woolly Mammoths will take on the Birmingham Bloomfield Beavers. Looking forward to that matchup as well, as the fans get some t-shirts here. Good amount of giveaways, as always, during the game. Tomorrow, likely for the Mammoths, it's going to be Hicks, Smith, and Luger on the mound. They like what Hicks brings to the table. Guy that has another really good story as well, just 4 years of club baseball at the University of North Carolina, just graduated from there. It's Noah Moore, Jalen Smith, and Antonio Carta, your Zach Hart Agency three-men due up here in the fifth. Fastball runs inside at 87. There's a bit of stretching going on in the Hoppers pen. It's the most action we've seen all day because Ty Tracy has been locked in. Johnny Breedenthal trying to tune up out there a bit with some high leg kicks. The 2-0 pitch. 88-mile-an-hour fastball out there. There he is. Guys stirring, getting things loose. Ferry, Cook, Breedenthal, and Verbrugge down there and available today. That one pinned in for strike two. Noah Moore with a single back in the second inning. And he has a walk here in the fifth. Not a bad start to his pro career offensively. You talk about good Hoppers pitching. And somebody you think of from last year, Dugan Darnell, a guy who was signed by the Colorado Rockies organization back on February 6th, 2021. He has actually been moved up of late. Just 2 days ago, May 27th, now with the Spokane Indians. He's got a .66 ERA through 13 innings. This one's going to escape Kreutzer over at first base, roll all the way down the line and towards JJ's doghouse down there. That's going to put runners on first and third as Moore scampers to third. And another error here, Jason, in the fifth.
Yeah, I was just going to say, it appears as though initially we were going to see more of what Tracy has done successfully, which is inducing soft contact and contact on the ground leading to outs. But then we also saw what we've seen throughout the game, which is what feels like a litany of errors now, 5 total when you combine both sides. So that's certainly been a problem today, and all of a sudden you have a runner at third, 90 feet away from home plate.
Outside to Antonio Carta.
Carta's a guy who drove in a lot of runs during his time at U of M Dearborn. He's someone you want in the batter's box with runners on the corners.
1-0 is grooved in for strike one. You know, everybody at this level kind of playing for their spot because there's always, you know, a chance that other guys become available, and certainly the college showcase is a big time for that here in the league. But there are some guys kind of lurking out there. I don't think there's a lot of imminent Mammoths positions up for grabs per se, but we have heard from some of the other managers that, you know, when teams lose in the NAIA World Series or in NCAA teams, there may be some guys that become available that they're watching very closely. Joby says, no, you guys sounded great last night. And I'm very picky when it comes to anthems and fifth inning stretches. There you go.
Okay. Thank you. I'll take it. I'll take what I can get at this point.
Should we put that on our resume?
We really should.
Screenshot that real quick before he deletes it.
We'll show that as a graphic right before the next time we sing.
Joby also says it's so cool to see family members getting excited about seeing their boys playing in the USPBL. We're happy to have them here. Welcome to the USPBL family. You can comment with us on Facebook and YouTube. We encourage that. Here's the 2-2 now from Tracy. Little pop fly. Spalding. And it's going to be Lopez Rios sliding in to make the play. Nice job.
Guys covering a lot of ground today, and it's been fun to watch. Roaming into foul territory. Saw that last night as well.
So that's a big first out for Ty Tracy. This is the most pressure he's seen since the two runners in scoring position with 2 outs in the first after he retired the first 2 men he saw. First pitch to Adrian Guzman is in for strike one. He had a line out back in the third inning. That was a part of a 1-2-3 inning for Ty Tracy. 3 innings in a row, the second, the third, and the fourth, where he was able to face the minimum in this game. Big gap for Guzman in left center field. This one hugging the line and will stay fair. De Los Santos throws the buck across his body. Can't get a lot on it as Kreutzer cuts it off. And that is going to lead to the first Mammoths run. It's 3-1. Guess you got to score that an infield single. Kind of a tough play. See what they go up with. There's already been 5 errors in this game. 5 errors total. 3 for Westside, 2 for Eastside. 3 runs off 3 hits and 2 errors for the Diamond Hoppers. 1 run off 2 hits and 3 errors for the Mammoths. Trying to change that now with 2 runners on again. Through the gap and by De La Cruz. They're going to test the arm. It looks like no. Smith is going to hold up at third base. And now the pond is full of ducks here in the 5th.
Aggressive on the first pitch once again there. Just put it on the ground to the pull side. Got it through the 5-6 hole and load up the bases. As you mentioned, Jeremy, a little movement in the Diamond Hoppers pen.
That's not surprising. Remember, these are all 7-inning games except for the doubleheaders. Those will be 2 6 innings of baseball. And that was kind of last year with the USPBL realize, especially this year, they're limited to 17 roster spots, at least for now. And that doesn't leave a lot of arms. I mean, 5, 6, 7 guys for each team. And that's the benefit, I guess, of not playing every day, because you can never survive like that playing every day. You need to be closer to the Major League 25, 26-man roster. First pitch to McKinley, in for strike one. Fastball at 87. It's a pretty straight fastball for Ty Tracy. Oh, 1. Flubbed right back at him. Going to come home alertly for one and double him off over there at first base.
Beautiful.
How about it? Felix Aberrett gets it to Kreutzer after the feed from Ty Tracy, and the rally is no more. One run is scored here by the Mammoths. It's Noah Moore who scratches the plate for the first time today to make it 3-1 here on the USPBL Network. Time for Take Me Out to the Ball Game. We get a second crack at it here today. I think we're going to be in sync with the people in the stands as well. Here we go. Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jacks. I don't care if I ever get back, for it's root for the home team. If they don't win, it's a shame, for it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game. There you go. The fifth inning stretch is sponsored by Genesis Credit Union, and the fans in attendance enjoying what they see here today. Here's our favorite fan of the Westside Woolly Mammoths. So 1, 2, 3 double play, literally. And that's not you don't often hear that. A pitching change here for the Westside Woolly Mammoths. We'll see Greg Lukanen, the local product out of Orchard Lake St. Mary's, for the first time in his USPBL career.
His hometown less than half hour away from this field. You'd imagine maybe some family in the stands tonight.
Greg Lukanen out of Georgia Gwinnett spent his junior and senior campaign there. He's got a fastball, a changeup, and a curveball, and a slider kind of in development. Something that he bailed on his senior year and has picked up since. But Georgia Gwinnett, if you're not familiar, is one of the powers in the NAI as well. Have a beautiful field from what I've seen on Twitter. People speak that it's probably the best field, natural grass that is, in the NAI.
He had success there. Pitched 98 2/3, 3.19 ERA with a 10-3 record. He's been in situations as a closer throughout his college career. A very successful closer, too.
So Orchard Lake St. Mary's High School, a 2015 state champion with them. And if Orchard Lake St. Mary's doesn't win the state championship this year, a lot of people are going to turn their heads, because they're, quote-unquote, one of the top 5 teams in the country, whatever that means in terms of rankings. I'm sure they're right up there, but, you know, there's not one ranking system when it comes to high school, nationally or locally. They played Brother Rice here at Jimmy John's Field last week. It was a close affair. Those two teams are always duking it out in the Catholic High School League Central Division.
You were here for that one.
I was, yeah. Fun stuff. First pitch is fouled back here by Juan Lopez Rios. It's him, Jason Aponte, and Nick Kreutzer, your Zach Hart agency. 3 men due up. So Thacker goes 4. Maybe not the third inning he would have hoped for, but a good finish. He allowed the leadoff single in the 4th inning and then got the rest of the batters a strikeout, a pop out, And a ground out to 8-9-1. Oh, and 2 quickly on the 2-hole hitter here for the Hoppers. So there's a look at Thacker's line. 4 innings, 2 Ks, 3 walks, and 3 earned runs. Another 1-2.
Something interesting about Luukkonen as a reliever. You notice nobody on base right now, but definitely not a full windup like the one we saw Thacker working out of or Tracy working out of. But most of these guys that come in out of the pen, they're so used to working with
2-2 fouled back.
So used to working with runners in scoring position or on base, coming in situations where they have to put out the fire, that you want to be able to make the throw to first quickly. Now with Luukkonen, inherently difficult to steal off him because he's a lefty.
2-2 slapped on the ground, and Navarro passed his diving glove. And now Jason Aponte will try to keep it going. It was an 88-mile-an-hour four-seamer that he took the opposite way. Aponte has himself a single and an RBI. That was back in the third inning. It was one he kind of just squeaked in. Not a lot of hard contact either way when it comes to the two pitchers that we've seen here today. It's Breedenthal still tuning, and it looks like he might come into the game. He looks like he's ready to go for the Hoppers. First pitch to Aponte is a lofty swing and a miss and an 86-mile-an-hour fastball. Heart of the order today has reached twice. In addition to Aponte, De Los Santos able to get on with an error to the shortstop Guzman. And you're probably going to be able to count those errors on a single hand by the time things are said and done for however long Guzman is here. Certainly a guy that could reach the next level once again. I guess the age is kind of the question, but you never know. If you perform as well as he has on the defensive side, he could get another shot. 0-1 pinned in for strike two. No more. Points back to Luukkonen and say, nice job there. That kind of prototypical pitcher to catcher lingo that you see.
As a catcher, you're not only playing a role of stopping balls behind the dish, you're also a psychologist as well.
And it's sometimes knowing what you can and cannot say to a guy. You know, is something going to tick him off if you try to, make him laugh, or is that going to work?
Sometimes you hear pitchers. I heard CC Sabathia say this. We were talking about the Yankees last night, former Yankee, maybe a future Hall of Famer as well, but he was saying sometimes he'd invite the catcher out just to talk about something in the stands or
really?
Whatever's going on, just to take his mind off things.
Yeah. Ponte still battling here with 2 strikes. He singled on a 1-2 pitch back in the third inning. His pop-out was on a 1-1 delivery back in the first inning. Luukkonen will send Lopez Rios back. We've seen 1 steal in this game thus far. It's Greg Vaughn Jr., Lopez Rios, and Aponte have scored the 3 runs for the Hoppers thus far. Bluffs and a swing and a miss, and now Moore's going to snap throw, but Lopez Rios is back in time. There's the first professional strikeout for Greg Luukkonen.
That was nice. Just that pitch kind of ran in and climbed up and in on the hands. On a swing and a miss, late swing there. I was wondering if he would go to something out of the zone with 2 strikes. Kreutzer's a different task to deal with as well.
Similar stature to a guy like Ross Haffey, who clubbed a number of home runs in his time here in the USPBL. Didn't get a chance to see the home run derby. Take a peek at that back on the USPBL Network. Haffey launching and launching and launching. One's over and onto the Chevrolet Pavilion out in left field. See if we see a bit more power in the USPBL this year. Not a whole lot last year. It's always kind of been pitcher dominated.
And Kreutzer's a guy who kind of his swing plane is conducive to line drives. It's very level. And we talked about that yesterday. Sometimes you're taught nowadays the launch angle to create that power, but it's also about making sure that your bat is staying on the same plane as the pitches early and as often as possible. That's truly what you want to do. The launch angle kind of plays into the reason why strikeouts are up around baseball. But Kreutzer's a guy who can, when he makes contact and times it up well, can only find the barrel of his bat, but draws a walk there.
So walk, strikeout, or check that, single strikeout walk, the line against Greg Luukkonen thus far. And now De Los Santos, the number 5 hitter, trying to gain himself some ribbies here in the 5th inning.
He's made a couple of nice plays at third base today.
.86-mile-an-hour fastball remains up top. So Greg Luukkonen, a guy who kind of hung around 2SP this offseason. That was even before he was signed, trying to glean things from Justin Orndorff. And 2SP is where a lot of the DVS programs are run from, and all these pitchers will soon go through that. Another stolen base, this time for Juan Lopez Rios. That puts runners on first and third. There they are. Kreutzer over at first as well. And at one point he asked Justin Orndorff, hey, you know, you've seen me throw to some live hitters indoors. What do you think I need to do to maybe get to this level, get to some sort of professional baseball? And Justin, you know, kind of identified that he was very arm dominant, looking to use that lower half a little bit more. And he found that after, you know, he made those tweaks, his arm started feeling better. Now the 1-2 up high and away. And that's something, you know, that we'll talk about with Justin Orndorff and Shane McCaddy, two guys that dive into the delivery value system, which is ever improving. A lot of exciting things happening with that as well. Maybe we can even show you some video at some point on the broadcast of what they're doing.
It's really neat, isn't it?
Kind of a 3D picture of what your motion is, all the bones in your body, 8 cameras that can surround you and take those photos. And what that also allows them to do is give you a digital DVS score. So in the past, Justin and his staff would, you know, go through all the video and go through all the numbers and give you a physical score. But this is going to allow them to give you one right away, which he says is, you know, not only big for the USPBL, but big for the company in general. So we're looking forward to sharing all that with you. I mean, at this point, just like in spring training, for the managers as well, for the position players, there's a lot of observing, you know, for opening weekend, seeing how these guys perform, and then they'll start to get into those tweaks. There's Justin on the left side of your screen, right under that first Michigan First Credit Union logo. 0-1 pitch, sneaks inside.
Great guy to chat with. I was speaking with Greg Shanahan, who's one of the pitchers we briefly saw last night for the Unicorns, and he told me that, similar to what you mentioned there, Jeremy, about the arm feeling better because of the tweak in the delivery and the mechanics. Greg told me that, who has gone through injuries in the past, that not only the health has improved, but his command, too, of his pitches. So it's interesting, certainly.
Yeah,
those slight tweaks.
Those two things, along with the velocity. I mean, we've seen guys' velocity tick up 2 to 3 miles an hour or gain it back after they've gone through an injury. Here's the 2-1 pitch, clubbed to left center field. That's going to send Briggs and Bigford back, and it's Bigford who calls and cuts it off for out number 3. Nothing becomes of the single and the walk. Nice job by Greg Luukkonen to work out of things in his first professional outing. We've got a lot of firsts in this opening weekend for everyone. We're going to send it down to Jenna Rose. She's with Zane Collins. Jenna?
Just answer to me. So we're here with left-handed pitcher Zane Collins. Zane, you were a starting pitcher last year in the USPBL. How well do you feel that Ty Tracy is handling the nerves of his first day?
I think he's handling it very well. He's handling it like a veteran does. He's just going out and doing his thing 1 inning at a time.
Right, absolutely. And when we look at the theme of this game, errors have been quite a bit of it, and especially your team has been able to capitalize on that offensively. How do they build on that momentum?
Just keep hitting the ball hard, and I mean, it'll fall.
Right, keep hitting the ball hard. I like that one. And finally, last question. You've also been a reliever as well. For those who are getting ready in the bullpen, how do they mentally stay prepared to jump into the game?
I would just say you got to be locked in the whole game, or you need to be loose and then locked in when you need to be ready.
Absolutely. Well, Zane, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
All right, sending it back up to you guys.
Thanks, Jenna. Good stuff with Zane Collins. Another returning player. It's your Priority Health USPBL dance crew. Good to see them back in the ballpark as well this year. Reminder, you can chime in with us both on Facebook and YouTube. Tony Maria on YouTube says she'll be here next week at the game. Look forward to seeing you here, Tony. Be sure to subscribe on YouTube and like us on Facebook to get those great notifications of when we're on the air. The first game of 75 yesterday, the second here today. Always an exciting time on opening day. Good to see the weather perk back up in the positive direction here today. A load of rain came in. They did a great job to get the diamond ready in a couple-hour process after the tarp came off late in the afternoon. One-0. Popped up and foul. Spencer McGee, Lamar Briggs, Trey Bigford, your Zach Hart agency 3-men duo. Jordan Angona says he lives in Pontiac but watching in Iowa currently. Why don't you check out the Field of Dreams site? That's always been one that I want to
That's a bucket
see.
list.
2-1 golfed over the leaping glove of Juan Lopez Rios for a leadoff single here in the 6th inning. When's that Major League game happening there? It's got to be pretty soon, right?
I've been seeing updates on the field. I believe the corn is actually growing right now.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, I think they just planted it.
Very cool. Paul Nochi rising out of the dugout here. We're going to have another pitching change, this time for Ty Tracy and the Diamond Hoppers. He's had a really good effort here today in a span of 8 outs in a row between the 2nd and 4th innings. A bit of trouble in the 5th, was able to reel it back in with a 1-2-3 double play that went from him to Aberrett to Nick Kreutzer. And now with a runner on first and the Hoppers clinching on to a 3-1 lead, Nochi will go to his bullpen here today. It's Johnny Breedenthal that will tune up when we get back right here on the USPBL Network.
hear about the promo that Jimmy's John's got going on? 5 off 20? How they pulling it off? Magic? You got David's Copperfields in there? Show yourself, Copperfields!
Jimmy John's. $5 off orders of 20 or more.
Jeremy and Jason back with you here. Get your first look at Johnny Breedenthal. He's got a pretty deep arsenal, Jason.
The four-seamer cutter splitter, probably the second most pitch that he'll throw. It's a nasty splitter. The bottom really falls out of that pitch when thrown well, and it's fun to watch. Curveball as well to go off speed, so he can throw the kitchen sink at you and keep the hitters off balance. It'll be interesting to watch here. Inherits a runner at first.
So 70 pitches for Ty Tracy. Gave up just 3 hits and certainly scattered those hits. I mean, we saw the leadoff walk in the 5th and Noah Moore, which was cashed around. The error immediately after by Jalen Smith and the single by Guzman allowed him to score the lone RBI of the season thus far for the Westside Woolly Mammoths. And that's one thing that we'll look at this year in terms of this Mammoths lineup. They were a bit light on hitting at times last year. This guy hit over 300 for them. Hit a single, or checked out a walk back in the first after a nice 2-2 battle. Swings and misses at the fastball there at 85.
That was an impressive 70-pitch outing from Tracy. There's a very little difference between making ground ball contact, fly-out contact, versus hitting the ball in the sweet spot, and more often than not, Tracy was inducing the soft contact.
De La Cruz to Lopez Rios for 2. Our third double play turn between these two teams. That's looked sharp today.
Yeah.
Here's Trey Bigford now. Bigford had a ground out back in the first to the second baseman, Lopez Rios, and a fly out to Aponte in center. Breedenthal saying, yeah, that's exactly how I drew it up. Coming into this game here today. Outside. Kind of a calm night here in Utica, Michigan. Not much wind. It's been slightly blowing in, but that American flag in center field is almost limp now. 1-0 is popped up foul.
Quick 2-out question, Jeremy. I'll let you get the sip in.
Go ahead. I love 2-out questions.
Yeah, 2-out question. Well, you brought up Field of Dreams. You have a favorite baseball movie?
There's so many. PJ says Bull Durham, otherwise he doesn't like me. Our director, PJ Gradowski. That's up there. Major League is certainly up there. This one outside. 2-1 on Trey Bigford.
I think for me, I'd have to go Sandlot. That one's always been my favorite.
That's a classic.
Yeah.
PJ's not
doesn't
a fan.
agree. No. But I don't know. This atmosphere kind of reminds me of it. The summer nights. Kids enjoying. Last night we had fireworks.
Yeah.
It's got to be one of the better scenes in
Yeah.
Sandlot. The
Absolutely.
fireworks.
Grab the glove and play catch under the fireworks. Hot shot up the middle. That for a base hit with 2 outs in the first. Off the bat at 98. And now Noah Moore will try to extend this inning. The Mammoths would love a couple runs here. Opening weekend sponsored by Our Credit Union. We thank you so much for tuning in right here on the USPBL network. A lot of new people helping us put things together this year. Moore with a walk and a single puts the runner in motion here. Good exchange for Aberut. Charges down to second. Not in time as Lopez Rios did as much as he could to try to put that down. It looks like Bigford was bit. So is he going to have to come out of the game here? From our replay here in our YouTube monitor, it's really hard to tell because we had the wide angle, but he's favoring that left hand as he chats with Taylor Jellikowski over at first base, and it looks like he's going to try to continue in this game. Todd Maverick comments on YouTube. Send a shout out to the friends and family of Colin Ledbetter watching from Indy. So hello, Ledbetter family. Charles Smith says he's watching from Marietta, Georgia. Jordan Angona chimes back in with us. He says the Fielder's Dreams game is August 12th in Major League Baseball. That's delayed a year. They were supposed to do that last year.
Yep.
1-0 is outside. Everybody straight up, position-wise in the infield and outfield here. 2-0 pitch right back at Breedenthal. Nice glove and a pretty nice inning for him. He comes in and strands leadoff single, a 6-4-3 double play, and then the single to Trey Bigford, erased by that ground ball right there. Stretch run of this game coming up. Stick with us here on the USPBL Network.
You hear about the promo that Jimmy's John's got going on? 5 off 20? How they pulling it off? Magic? You got David's Copperfields in there? Show yourself, Copperfields!
Jimmy John's. $5 off orders of 20 or more.
Piloting a hot air balloon is my wife's passion, and she couldn't have a better wingman than my Chevy Equinox. Its stylish design rises above the rest, and with its 4G LTE Wi-Fi plus great gas mileage, Equinox keeps us connected mile after mile. With my Equinox, the sky isn't the limit.
Lease a 2021 Equinox LT for just $189 a month. Put it in D and see why Chevy drives the Motor City. Visit ChevyDetroit.com.
Another look at Classic Rock Saturdays here at Jimmy John's Field. Just another reason to come out to the ballpark. And as we've mentioned throughout our first couple calls here in the last couple days, capacity is expanding next week. Right around 1,000 people in the building for this whole opening weekend. We're really looking forward to welcoming back that sellout crowd.
Oh yeah, Jeremy, the sights, the sounds, the smells all returning this weekend. Just walking throughout the ballpark, it's fun, and the atmosphere is here. But you can't beat theme nights here at the USPBL, especially on a fun Saturday night like this one.
So Greg Luukkonen in his first inning worked 23 pitches, a pair of strikeouts, that to the third and fifth place hitters, Aponte and De Los Santos. That was after the leadoff single by Lopez Rios. He reached third by the time things were set and done, but a good job by Greg Luukkonen to retire the last two batters he faced in that fifth. Coming on for Donovan Thacker, who threw 70 pitches through four. And I think that's a pretty, decent gauge of where a guy will be here in opening weekend at a max 70 pitches, because, you think about it, at least here with the USPBL, and certainly a lot of these guys have been either throwing in college or throwing in the offseason, so it's not like they haven't been competitively throwing before this, but, you won't see, managers and Shane McCanny and Justin Orndorff pushed the envelope too much so far. I mean, we saw it yesterday with Austin Dakar. He had 9 up, 9 down, perfect game through 3, and they, I think, just wanted to keep that good taste certainly in his mouth. But fun to see. I mean, Dakar's a guy to watch. We knew that coming in just from what everybody's told us. Major turnaround from what it was last year. 1 up and 1 down for Luukkonen here.
He looks very confident, and then good to see. He still wasn't totally satisfied in his interview with Jenna, so that just kind of showcases the personality of Dakar, always working on his craft and has worked very hard to get back. We also saw Max Foodie pitch, who actually had an immaculate inning.
Sure did.
That was pretty neat. So we've, as you mentioned, Jeremy, seen a gauge of where guys can be at their best.
First pitch to De La Cruz is low. You take a deeper dive into what Dakar was able to put together. He had 5 strikeouts.
On 9 batters faced.
3 of those looking. Able to paint the black pretty well yesterday. McGee is under it. Adjusts at the last second to make sure he squeezes out number 2. Now Luukkonen trying to make quick work of the bottom 3 in the order. Nafi Mercedes is your next man up. Brought to you by Zach Hart Agency here in the 6th inning. Eastside trying to add a run or 2. And look to close it out in the 7th. There's a man warming up in the bullpen for the Hoppers. Here's the 1-0. Golf to left. That's going to get by maybe as he was all the way over, but foul. Wow, that was a lofty prep position there for Trey Bigford. He was way over from his position in left field from the line. Maybe he'll sneak back a little bit closer after that one. Here's the 1-1 to Mercedes. Good block by Moore. Top of the lineup, Greg Vaughn Jr. is on deck. Don't really want to see him in this situation. The top 3 have accounted for all 3 runs, and they were scored right in a row back in the 3rd inning, which started with that walk from Vaughn Jr. Now the 2-1. Weak contact, but foul. Tom Athens says, love the USPBL online network. I'm streaming it on my TV. Looks great.
Thank you, thank you. Crew doing a fantastic job tonight.
He also says, oh, and my wife Nicole says For the Love of the Game is her favorite baseball movie.
It's another theme we'll have to get going, Jeremy.
Yeah.
Sending in the favorite baseball themed movies.
We did it a little bit last year. There were some good submissions.
Well, there is a movie night, right? Isn't that that's one of our theme nights?
Sure.
Yeah.
What an inning from Greg Luukkonen. 1, 2, 3. Line out, pop out, strikeout. A little bit different every time. And a confident stroll for him back to the dugout in his pro debut. Well, now time for your Metro Detroit Chevy Dealers mascot race. It was a tight race yesterday in the opening of the season. There they are, getting ready to get going through the fuzzies out there. We've seen those throughout the game kind of floating around. Hopefully they don't have any allergies out there in the left field gate. Who you got today, Jason?
Ooh.
We had somebody chime in and say Petey Pickup earlier in the chat. Are you going to go with that?
I will have to side with the fans because the fans are most important at the end of the day.
Bella Air is the first car out of the garage here. And look at this start by Bella Air. Now, given we've seen before that the starts aren't always conclusive, we'll sometimes have spin-outs right around this area. And, boy, look out. Oh. If you're playing catch in foul territory down the third baseline, Bella Air is still chugging it here. Corey Vett along the right side, along the Zach Hart Agency on-deck circle. What a turn by Corey Vett. She's going to hit the other on-deck circle and spread across the Jimmy John's Field lettering, and Petey Pickup trying to catch up from the blind side as well. Bella Air making a push for second, but it's Corey Vetts who takes home your Metro Detroit Chevy Dealers race here today.
All about how you finish in life, Jeremy, not about how you start. That's your point there proved to be correct.
Well, you can enter for a chance to win $250 and 4 front row tickets to the championship game here at the USPBL. You can text Chevy Detroit to 555-888. You can visit ChevyDetroit.com/USPBL for the official rules of that contest as well. Here comes Adrian Cook looking to close things out. This is an arm to watch. Third pitcher used by Paul Nochi here tonight. He comes in for Johnny Breedenthal. Scheduled to face the bottom 3 in the lineup, brought to you by Zach Hart Agency. It's Jalen Smith, Antonio Carta, and Adrian Guzman coming up.
And fans, it's also time for another lifetime orthodontics pitching change. Now pitching for the Eastside Diamond Hoppers from Victoria, Texas, number 20,
Adrian Cook, a guy that throws a fastball, a slider, and a changeup. He's, velocity-wise, going to be one of the top arms that you see in the league, at least to start this year. He was a closer in college as well.
I'll love to see that high velocity coming out of the pen in the closer role. Woolly Mammoths down to their final 3 outs.
Jalen Smith today reached on an error back in the 5th. Also a 6-4-3 double play back in the 2nd. Smith the double, or the DH here today. First pitch to Smith, and for strike 1. Bottom 3 in the order have reached twice today. Guzman produced the game's only run so far for the Woolly Mammoths. That one slapped fair down the line. That's going to be trouble into the corner. Spalding digging that out. Jalen Smith heading to second base, and he has a leadoff stand-up double here in the 7th inning.
Potentially a little deja vu from last night, Jeremy. Get a runner in scoring position. Well, he'll bring a couple of, bring what represents the tying run to the plate here.
Carta trying to snap his 0 for 2 in his pro debut thus far, a fly out and a pop out. Guzman waiting on deck, and then it'll be Norberto Navarro if they can turn it back to the top of the lineup. 81-mile-an-hour slider in there for strike 1. Dots it in at 95. I think the hardest pitch we've seen this year thus far. The guy that was supposed to play for the USPBL last year, but he unfortunately got a false positive test upon entry to the league, so it was right back, and he wasn't really sure whether he would end back here in pro ball at all at that point. Swing and a miss. First strikeout in the books for Adrian Cook.
Next up, the shortstop, number 13, Adrian Guzman.
It's a guy who didn't start throwing in the 90s, Cook that is, until he was a sophomore in college. And once he did, that's when it kind of clicked. He said, hey, I can, I'm there. I can do better now. And he's doing better currently. 95 the highest we've seen so far here tonight. And right around that time, he started getting a few more college offers for four-year universities. Originally was supposed to play for a Division I. Things didn't quite work out there. But he said going to his NAI school in LSU Shreveport was kind of the best thing for him, kind of refocused him. And even he has taken a year off of baseball. Pretty impressive. He's still dotting his fastball in at 95. 1-1 on Adrian Guzman. Jalen Smith still standing at second base. He led things off here in the 7th inning with the double. Good secondary lead for him. 95-mile-an-hour heater again in for strike 2.
Yeah, it felt like an important pitch there. Expected batting average on a 1-2 count versus 2-1. It can certainly change the situation. Now it puts the pitcher in control, and I was wondering what he would go to there after kind of trying to expand the strike zone on the previous pitch. Went back down in with that 95-mile-per-hour heater.
1-2 again whittled off. That's 95 with some spin. I mean, you're talking right around the major league average, 2,100, 2,200 for a fastball.
Yeah, it gets in on you quickly. From a hitter's perspective, you should be thinking fastball. That's the pitch you want, but easier said than done, especially when you add movement on that 95-mile-per-hour fastball.
Righty and righty, the 1-2 slider that hangs high. The changeup, at least right now in his career, is only a pitch he heaves to lefties. See if the USPBL tries to refine that and add it to his arsenal full time. The 2-2 just low at 94. 3-2 on Guzman. Good job by the 9-hole hitter to work a second 3-2 count in this game for him. Did that back in the 3rd before lining out to the center fielder Aponte. He's playing over, where he's kind of been to the right of second base the whole night. Another big pitch. You can feel it for Cook. Here it comes. High and tight. And now the top of the order coming up in Roberto Navarro. And this is the top of the order today that has been timided a little bit, if that's a word. I don't think that's a word. But
oh, yeah. No, I like it.
It is today.
Timid. Yep.
Timided. Single error. The results all combined in terms of base runners that have gotten on for the top 3 in the order. A home run would give him a lead, and boy,
like it
just clipped him.
Clipped him. He tried to get out of the way, too. But all of a sudden, bases are loaded. Second time today we've seen a Diamond Hoppers pitcher try to work out of a bases loaded situation. Only took 5 pitches to get that first out.
There is no action in the Hoppers bullpen right now, and I'm sure Paul Noce, after using 3 arms in the first game of the year, doesn't really want to use a 4th. And the flamethrower on the mound. Good job by Jalen Smith, first time he sees him. Good roping ball down the right field line. Ryan Underwood checks in from Louisville, Kentucky here today. Ever been to the Louisville Slugger Museum and Factory Tour?
It is pretty interesting, isn't it?
It is. I was able to check it out just a couple weeks ago. You get your free mini bats on exits. Even our little baby got one, so that was that was cool.
There's a scent in there. Just it smells like baseball.
And paint after you walk through a little bit, a little portion, but certainly it's kind of fun to see the progression it was there between the handmade to the automated to the in-between. Here's the 1-0. Swing and a miss. 94-mile-an-hour fastball that buried to the outside part. McKinley, your 2-hole hitter, but he's got some pop. Hit some balls deep to right field and BP here today. Now the 1-1. Line drive to left center field. That's over the head of Aponte. Maybe no, he's going to cut it off. But the second run of the game for the Mammoths is going to score. That's Jalen Smith. And it's a sliver of a lead all of a sudden for the Diamond Hoppers at 3-2. Boy, I thought McKinley got a little bit better piece of that one than what it turned out to be.
How about this start to USPBL play this year, Jeremy? Dramatic walk-off win last night, and now again down to just a sliver of a lead. 1-run game with 2 outs.
Walk-off fielder's choice, just like Malik Blaze drew it up, yeah? Swing and a miss. First pitch change-up, would we call that? I think so. That's what we're going to go with. I think that's his first change tonight. Seconds. Fine analytics staff lets us know. Here's the 0-1. 93 in there. 86-93.
Yeah.
And McGee says, give me a second here.
Well, you go down to the changeup and hopefully have a batter either watching that, pouring for a strike, or swinging early on it. Then you go back up to 93. Hopefully they're swinging late on that.
Here comes the 20th pitch, the 0-2. Good block by Aberrant. Cook still with runners on first and second here. It's Navarro on first and Guzman on second. The 1-2 again. Lopez Rios feeds to second. Ooh, just in time. Maybe not beating him there. Let's see if we can get a second look. It will be standing. There's no replay here in the USPBL, but a tight play at second base. Adam De La Cruz able to collect the final out in the end from Juan Lopez Rios. As we get a second look at our YouTube monitor here. Ooh. Really close.
It's a game of inches, Jeremy, and that's
Sure
what we
is.
saw tonight. Fitting way to close out the night.
He may have been out by inches, but still tough to tell. We'd probably have to see 2 or 3 angles. So that is the end of our ball game here today. Adrian Cook able to bear down and get the final out. Probably not the way he wanted to start his professional career, but he did light up the radar gun at 95, 94, 93 consistently here today. 3-2 your final score after a 20-pitch outing from Adrian Cook. Ty Tracy kind of established the tempo today for Hopper's pitching, though, didn't he?
Oh, yeah. 70 pitches, induced a lot of ground ball, outs and soft contact early on. Really lived up to the billing in his first USPBL start. Was able to set up the bullpen nicely.
Well, as the kids run the bases, we're going to head to break, but Jenna Rose is back with our player of the game after this here on the USPBL Network. Stick around.
Diamond Hoppers, ain't too many of the teams can defeat us. You on the sideline warming up the benches. Need a lesson? I can show you, I can teach ya. You see a Diamond Hopper fan, point 'em out. 8, 5 ball, catch a frog, walk it out. 8, every time we score, I'm throwing up my diamond. Both hands in the air, same timing. Let's rock. Diamond Hoppers, Eastside Diamond Hoppers. Diamond Hoppers, we the Eastside Diamond Hoppers. Diamond Hoppers, Eastside Diamond Hoppers. Diamond Hoppers, we the Eastside Diamond Hoppers.
I'm all in with Marketing and Business Development Council.
I'm all in with Operations and Member Experience Council.
I'm all in with CEO Council.
I'm all in with Lending Council.
I'm all in with CFO Council.
I'm all in with Technology Council.
Our credit union is all in with CUNA councils.
You hear about the promo that Jimmy's John's got going on? 5 off 20? How they pulling it off? Magic? You got David's Copperfields in there? Show yourself, Copperfields!
Jimmy John's. $5 off orders of 20 or more.
Make your move with a quick and easy mortgage from Genesis Credit Union. We have mortgages to fit your life. Genesis Credit Union. Visit us today.
Stop me now. Don't stop me, 'cause I'm having a good time. Having a good time. A shooting star leaping through the sky like a tiger, defying the laws of gravity. I'm a racing car passing by like Lady Godiva. I'm gonna go, go, go. There's no stopping me. No stopping, no stopping.
New flooring from the Carpet Guys is as easy as 1, 2, free. 1, just call the Carpet Guys for fast, free, and home shopping. 2, get massive warehouse direct savings. And 3, I mean free, as in 4 years of interest-free financing. That's 1, 2, free, but only for a limited time. So be wise and call the Carpet Guys at 855-4MY-GUYS or visit carpetguys.com today.
Be wise, call the Carpet Guys at 855-4MY-GUYS. Come on and keep me satisfied.
We're joined by right-handed pitcher Ty Tracy. Ty, you had your first start today in the USPBL. I mean, there's a big crowd here. How did you mentally prepare yourself for this outing?
Crowds normally don't bug me that much, so just came out and tried throwing strikes, and it worked today. So.
Yeah, it did work. You only allowed 1 run through 5 innings. You know, you've been talking before, you typically utilize your fastball, slider, and a mix of your changeup. How well was that working for you out on the mound?
Fastball was all right. I'm not hitting spots as well as I should be, but other than that, I was just throwing strikes and letting them hit it and see what happens.
Right, and you know, you're still meeting some of your teammates. How well do you feel the chemistry has been during this first game?
Oh, just the first game and just what we've already been through, it's already fun. They got a good group of guys on this team. It's going to be a fun season for sure.
And you're coming here from the California League. Is there anything that you want to build on or improve here with your time in the USPBL?
Just throw harder, throw more strikes, and have fun.
All right, well, congratulations on your first start and for the win.
Thank you.
All right, thank you all for joining us on the USPBL Network. We'll see you next time.